CEMTV News. Truth first, you next. Stay informed to stay empowered on CEMTV, your favorite television station.
CEMTV News, truth first, you next. Stay informed to stay empowered. Hello and welcome to CEMTV News at 7. I am Miracle Wobo. Let's take a look at the headlines. FCT Minister Wike reveals reason behind preventing Governor Fubara from seeking re-election. President Tinubu commissions Africa's first renewable energy college in Kogi. And Nigeria Customs Service to begin annual recruitment as 3,852 Nigerians secure jobs. We'll bring you the details of these stories and more in a moment.
This is CEMTV News. Truth first, you next. Stay informed to stay empowered on CEMTV, your favorite television station.
We begin from Rivers State with a report that lecturers of the Rivers State University have called for sweeping reforms, warning that the country is producing students who are ill-prepared for higher education and the modern world. They spoke during separate interviews with CEMTV, stressing that a weak foundation at primary and secondary school level continue to undermine the quality of learning across the country. Our correspondent now completes the story.
Speaking on the recent political developments in Rivers State, Dr. Jesse Oke.
Dr. Boma Omobopepo of the Department of Modern Languages, French, said Nigeria's educational system requires a total overhaul, citing poor oral expression, spelling, and critical thinking among students as evidence of a failing system. He attributed the situation to the poor implementation of education policies, the use of unqualified or improperly deployed teachers, and inadequate professional training.
So I don't know where to come from, but I know that if it is possible for government to provide some level of subvention for indigent students, it will make sense. In my days, I received a lot of bursary. They call it, what is it called now? From local government. I got some funds from local government to support my education. I got some funds from state government when I wanted to travel abroad, because as a French undergraduate at that time, it was mandatory for me to, school abroad for one whole year, as they call it year abroad. So I got some subvention support from state government. I got support from my local government, and they were paying bursary at that time. So students were able to, at least even if they don't get money for textbook, whatever you pay yearly as bursary, they use it to pay their school fees to support their parents. In the last 10 years, I don't know any local government, I don't know any state that has paid bursary to students. It's unfortunate. So we keep losing our students every day, and then sometimes you don't see your student for 1 month, and by the time they appear, as a teacher who shows concern, I call some of them, I reach out, and they tell us that I don't have transport to come to school. It's very pathetic.
Also speaking, Dr. Nyekepriye Brisive expressed concern over the academic standard of newly admitted university students, describing their performance as shocking and a reflection of the poor foundation laid at the basic education level. He said government must prioritize quality primary and secondary education by providing well-equipped laboratories, practical learning, and an enabling environment that will prepare students for tertiary education. Both lecturers agree that without urgent and deliberate investment in the education sector, Nigeria risks continuing to produce graduates who are ill-equipped to meet the demands of an evolving global society.
The primary schools, the secondary schools, because sometimes what we see in 100 level is quite shocking. So they have to ensure that our primary and secondary schools are well funded, especially those government schools, and the standard is top-notch. In that way, they can produce students that are ripe for university education, because some of them just graduate from, just leave secondary school from SS1 because they just want to be, the parents want to train them fast. So some of them graduate from SS1 and they're not really ready. Some SS2, and I know the government tries to regulate that that practice, but how serious have they been in enforcing such practices? So all those things have to be taken into consideration. The foundation, okay, the academic foundation is an issue and it affects our young people a lot.
Journalists said the recent political developments in Rivers State are driven by party decisions and changing alliances rather than the action of the people, as they urge residents to remain focused on their economic wellness. Our correspondent now completes the report.
Journalist Christian Agada, Director IT Investment and External Services, NUJ, Rivers State, said the emergence of Governor Siminalayi Fubara was a collective party decision that included former Governor Nyesom Wike, adding that voters will ultimately judge the governor's performance at the polls. He described politics as dynamic, noting that shifting alliances are common and should not be blamed on the people. He also encouraged the average citizen to focus on acquiring skills and creating additional sources of income amid current economic challenges.
That is how politics is. Yeah, you have to join the reigning party. You don't stick on the place. More so, the governor now has said that he has joined the coalition, Rainbow Coalition, so all his supporters should join. So we have to follow. It's their personal opinion. It's their problem. So that is where they feel they have to make it. So you have to join, because no need of fighting with the moving train. You have to join. So if they feel that joining the FCT minister is the correct thing for now, they have to. He has said he has to join his family back. So we have to join our family back too.
Meanwhile, Douglas Aganete said political supporters often follow the direction of their leaders, making such realignments a normal part of the political process.
I will still hold both accountable. It's a two-side game. If the people didn't put in the leaders wouldn't be there. So, but if the people are putting the leaders and the leaders fail to perform, the people still have the powers to call back their leaders. That's why the INEC created that option of a recall. But it's unfortunate that the people are not harnessing their powers more. Well, political parties don't bring animals as their candidates. They bring human beings. That human being that is the candidate must be agreed upon by the caucus of the party. So if Wike is one of those who make up the caucus of the party that brought out Governor Fubara, you wouldn't really blame him. I'm talking about Nyesom Wike now. You wouldn't really blame him much for the allegedly underperformance of the governor.
Meanwhile, a lecturer at Rivers State University, Dr. Jesse Okedi, has expressed concern over prolonged political crisis in Rivers State, saying the ongoing rift between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has negatively affected governance, investment, and public confidence. Dr. Jesse also predicted the 2027 election could produce unexpected outcome as political loyalties continues to deepen. Our respondent now completes the story.
Speaking on the recent political developments in Rivers State, Dr. Jesse Okedi stated that there is no vacuum in government, noting that the governor's decisions regarding appointments, including the newly elected parliamentary leadership, are aimed at ensuring the smooth functioning of the state's political system. He, however, criticized the prolonged political dispute between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and Nyesom Wike, describing it as a source of confusion that has slowed development and discouraged investment in the state.
Fubara, I'm sure there are vacuums that have been created by the retirement of others, because those that were permanent secretary, you can't be permanent secretary today. They say if you ever get out as a permanent secretary, you are either forced out or you are retiring. So it's him working with the system and knows those that will bring in their best to ensure the system doesn't crash. That's what he has done. I would rather they should have a rethink and understand that Rivers State is beyond persons. We should be looking at the future. What does all of these portend for our future, and how do we get from the point where we are now to another point? Because where we are now is you don't know whether you have assembly or no, you don't have assembly. You don't know whether you have a governor or you don't have a governor. If a governor can be seated and he's so threatened, he can't make any policy statement, then why is there a government? And why must somebody from the military come to in a state where there is no violence, nothing? Why the entire political brigandage is brigandry for the bar banditry is unfortunate, seriously.
According to him, if both leaders had already reached an understanding, there was little justification for allowing the political conflict to escalate and involve the electorate. He urged both parties to place the interest of Rivers State above personal political differences. Reacting to Governor Fubara's reported acceptance of the coalition arrangement, Dr. Okedi said the move appeared to signal a retreat from the political confrontation, questioning why the conflict was allowed to intensify only for both parties to later seek reconciliation. He described the situation as leaving many residents feeling misled. Looking ahead to the 2027 general elections, Dr. Okedi predicted that the polls could produce major surprises, noting that many Rivers residents have already aligned themselves with either Governor Fubara or Wike. He added that while political influence will continue to play a role, voters are likely to make their decisions based on convictions they have already formed.
If eventually you go back to why did you start a fight? What went wrong? You should rethink it. What went wrong? In just less than 100 days in office and there is a war, there is this. What happened? Oh, you knew there was an agreement. Tinubu this, Tinubu that. I don't understand. If you have an agreement, keep it. Why did you draw people into that fight? You know how many persons died because of that thing? Oh, they are waiting for people to die on the streets. No. A lot of people stuck their neck and they are paying heavy price for daring. Now, if you knew that in the end it will, why start the fight? Now just sat down with this man and say, okay, sorry, I know I have failed. See this area, just allow me. Please, just allow me here. And there will be no problem. But no, you came and created this illusion because the whole fight now has become an illusion. In the end, there was an agreement and eventually you're honoring it. Why the whole brouhaha of I went and picked form, I went and joined APC? It makes no sense.
Away from that, former special advisor to the Rivers State Governor, Darlington Orji, has declared his support for the Rainbow Coalition, announcing Kingsley Okechinda as his preferred candidate for 2027 governorship election. Dr. Darlington Orji made the statement on CEMTV News Surgery Show yesterday. Our correspondent has the rest of the report.
He said politics should be driven by the quality of candidates rather than the political parties, adding that he would not attend any further PDP meetings. Orji explained that he had stood with the governor until they came to a crossroad, stressing that his political loyalty now lies with the coalition.
But for me, wholeheartedly, I've decided to go back, taken from the orders of the governor, and even the governor has returned back to the Rainbow Coalition, and by the special grace of God, all of us will put our hands on the deck like usual to make sure that all the candidates who believe in our party and in the Rainbow Coalition wins.
He further stated that he remains committed to the leadership of Nyesom Wike and would support any political decision taken by him during the election season. According to him, election periods often bring new political realignments, with long-standing allies sometimes parting ways. He also noted that the political rift in the state began less than 100 days after the current administration assumed office.
We have had our time of difficulty. We have suffered. There are a lot of setbacks. And I'll give you one clear example. Remember that as soon as the governor came in, the FCT minister flagged up as a special guest on the ring road that goes across about 6 local governments in River State. But you can go to Bogoro today, which is part of the ring road, and see the suffering. You will even imagine whether there are human beings that are living there. Even in my own area, in Ropoku, Julius Berger pulled out of sight, even when we know how much that was paid. Everybody took advantage of the crisis because there was no clear authority. Nobody can assert authority. Nobody can discipline any person. People just, in fact, everybody became a lord of their own, and at the end of the day, we are suffering.
To the national scene, where the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Nyesom Wike, has opened up on the reason behind the political decision to prevent River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara from seeking re-election, saying the move was driven by self-preservation and concern over outside interference in the state. He made the remarks while addressing newsmen on governance in Abuja. Wike said the political actors involved the initial agreement to move past their differences, but a fundamental development changed the calculation. The former River State governor also raised the issues of outside interests, framing the decision as a defensive measure to protect River State from being exploited.
I didn't say I'm happy. All I said, he wouldn't have been in that position if he did not, walk away from the group. But you called him the biggest loser. What did I say? He wouldn't have been in that position. First of all, let me tell you why. I was the one who laid foundation that look. I flagged up the ring road. And I said that day, if you complete this ring road, nobody will stop that. That's the second time endorsement. How do you endorse somebody more than that?
So you wanted him to do a second term?
Naturally. You have to build a system. It's from our political structure. What I don't like people talking, every time they say, Godfather, who talks about God? There's nowhere in this world, whether in the Republican, whether in the Democratic Party, you have groups. Trump has his own group to make sure they take over the Republican Party. Every group will have its own leader. That does not make you a godfather. Every group will have its own leader to say that, look, we are pursuing this to take over the mantle of leadership. And when that happens, and you succeed, and then you say, look, don't delay. I came as governor. I had crisis. When I came as governor, there was nothing. There was not even pillowcase in government house. But when I was living as governor, in fact, when I came, I had to borrow a vehicle from the former governor of Ondo, Mimiko. This parade vehicle. Nobody kept feeling well. I didn't have one vehicle. But before I left as governor, I packed up from government house 1.5 years. I didn't know federal government idea. I bought vehicles both for the governor, both for the deputy governor, both for the wife of the governor. I did that. I did not say, hey, somebody has. Nobody prepared me. But somebody had laid foundation. Look, see where I stopped. If we continue this way, our dream is to be able to compete with Lagos. What is wrong with that? Now, I'm coming. And somebody comes, and that's why you have to be careful. Those who didn't want you to be governor now became your friends.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has commissioned the Barefoot Renewable Energy College, Osara, in Kogi State, describing the facility as a world-class institution that positions Nigeria as a leader in renewable energy capacity development across Africa. The president, who spoke through Vice President Kashim Shettima during the commissioning ceremony at the Confluence University of Science and Technology, Osara, also unveiled the Green Hydrogen Research and Demonstration Pilot Plant located within the facility. President Tinubu said the establishment of the college would address Nigeria's long-standing challenge of converting its abundant natural resources into energy capacity and employment opportunities.
not only GYB, but their other predecessors, from Captain Wada to Alhaji Ibrahim Idris, and even the former deputy governors of the state. The national chairman of the APC, Professor Nentawe Yilwada Goshwe, ably represented by Professor Abdurrahman Kana and other members of the NWC of our great party. The Honorable Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Dr. Kingsley Tochukwu Ode SAN, the Honorable Minister for Steel Development, Prince Shuaibu Abubakar Audu, the former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, my brother Mohammed Bello Adoke SAN, the Speaker, Kogi State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Aliu Umar Yusuf, and all the members of the Kogi State House of Assembly, the Chairman, Senate Committee on Northwest Development Commission, and Senator representing Jigawa Northwest Senatorial District, Senator Babangida Hosseini Wadin Kazaure, the Secretary to the Government of Kogi State, Pastor Palashade Arikiayode, and all the members of the Kogi State Executive Council, the Director General, Chief Executive Officer, Energy Commission of Nigeria, Dr. Mustafa Abdullahi, and other members and heads of government agencies and extra-ministerial departments, the Chairman, APC Kogi State, Engineer Aliu Ezu Momo. The world's energy order is being rewritten in this decade. The drawing board to this ceremony.
The Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, has directed vice-chancellors, rectors, and provosts across Nigeria to dismiss any student found culpable after due investigation of involvement in kidnapping or other related crimes. A statement by his minister's special advisor, Media and Communication, Ikaru Atta, Alausa also ordered the head of tertiary institutions to strengthen internal intelligence system and deepen collaboration between the Department of State Services and other security agencies in their respective states as part of a nationwide strategy to safeguard campuses and protect students. The minister gave the directive during a meeting with the pro-chancellor, member of the Governing Council and Management of the Federal University of Lafia, Nasarawa State, in his office in Abuja, while noting that Nigerians' universities, polytechnics and college of education remain largely safe and secure. The minister said recent isolated incidents involving students outside campuses underscore the need for stronger intelligence gathering and closer collaboration with security agencies. Still to come on the news, Zimbabwe mourns mother and daughters killed in UK. Stay tuned for details of this in a moment.
This is CEMTV News. Truth first, you next. Stay informed to stay empowered on CEMTV, your favorite television station.
Thanks for staying tuned. Now to the rest of the news stories. In Africa, the bodies of Zimbabwean national Notambo Zindele Tushman and her daughters have arrived in Harare ahead of the burial in Bulawayo. The trio were allegedly killed in United Kingdom last month, while the children's father remains in custody in South Africa. Investigators suspect Natabo's husband, Ndondana Makashisi, Tushman, who is also the father of the two girls who were responsible for their deaths. Meanwhile, authorities in the United Kingdom and South Africa are continuing legal proceedings related to the case, including efforts linked to the ongoing criminal investigation. On the foreign scene, U.S. states sued to block Trump's tariff impacting dozens of countries. Meanwhile, 25 states have sued President Donald Trump's administration over a wave of tariff against dozens of countries. The U.S. says the tariff, which ranged between 10 and 12.5%, were imposed due to trading partners, including the UK, China, and European Union, failing to properly tackle forced labor. The coalition of democratic states said the decision was arbitrary and contrary to law. Meanwhile, White House spokesman Kush Desai said the U.S. was using its lawful authority to address practices that burdens American businesses, stressing that any foreign countries failing to deal with the importation of goods produced with forced labor was unreasonable and must be addressed. Now in health, the Niger State government has begun the enrollment of 66,000 vulnerable residents into the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund to expand free healthcare coverage and reduce the cost of medical treatment for poor households. The exercise, which will cover all 25 local government area, was flagged off in Mina alongside the unveiling of the First Lady Hajia Fatima Mohamed Bago as the Niger Health Insurance Ambassador. Commissioner for Secondary and Tertiary Healthcare, Dr. Murtala Mohamed Bagana, said over 121,000 residents have already benefited from the scheme, adding that the new enrollment will further improve access to essential healthcare services. Report says as Niger Health Insurance Ambassador, the First Lady pledged to promote healthcare insurance for women, children, the elderly persons living with disability, and other vulnerable groups, stressing that no one should be denied healthcare because of inability to pay. Now to business. The Nigerian Customs Service has announced a major overhaul of its recruitment process, declaring that the future recruitment exercise will be conducted annually, even as it unveiled the final list of 3,852 successful candidates for the 2024-2025 exercise from a pool of 573,680 applicants. The Comptroller General of Customs, Adewale Adeniyi, disclosed this during a press briefing at the service headquarters in Abuja, describing the just concluded exercise as one of the most competitive in the history of the agency and assuring unsuccessful applicants that another opportunity would come before the end of the year. Adeniyi said the service was abandoning its previous irregular recruitment model in favor of a predictable yearly process aimed at providing manpower planning and ensuring timely replacement of retiring personnel. Still in business, two major aviation unions have declared they are prepared to commence restraining of airlines accused of withholding billions of naira in statutory ticket sales charges, warning that the action could begin anytime. The threat follows on the expiration of a 7-day ultimatum issued to affected airlines on August 3, 2026, after an earlier 14-day notice failed to produce the desired response. In a statement jointly signed by the General Secretary of Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Frances Akinjole, and the Deputy General Secretary of National Union of Air Transport Employee Odinaka Ibukwe, the union accused the airlines of collecting statutory charges from passengers and on behalf of government aviation agency, but failing to remit the funds as required by law. Moving on to another story, where Port Harcourt is to host 10,000 marathon runners from East African sports. About 10,000 runners from Nigeria and other West African countries and East Africa are expected to converge on Port Harcourt, the River State capital, for an international half marathon covering a distance of 21 kilometers. Speaking at the media briefing, the convener of the Port Harcourt International Marathon, Goodluck Azunwena, said the 2026 edition is more than a race, showcasing culture, tourism, and healthy living through sports under the theme Green Race. He said the organizers have already secured the support of the River State government, and some private partners were remaining open to additional sponsorship. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Team Nigeria for its impressive outing at the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland, where the country won 24 medals. In a statement issued by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, Tinubu, who said the athletes had flown the nation's flag with dignity and pride throughout the competition, added that the medals were a testament to their hard work and perseverance. Nigeria finished the games with 10 golds, 7 silver, and 7 bronze medals. On entertainment, real estate mogul King Ochacho has described the 400 million mansion he gifted TikTok star Pella and his wife Jarvis at their wedding as small money, adding that more giveaways are already in the works. Ochacho, whose full name is King Mohammed Ada and founder of Ochacho Real Homes, made the comments during a TikTok live stream 2 days after the couple's lavish wedding in Lagos on August 1st. Report says the announcements made during the ceremony before a room full of guests and celebrities drew widespread applause and went viral mostly immediately. Nigeria singer Flavour has opened up about a 2-year struggle with masturbation, revealing how the habit affected his social life and daily activities. He shared his experience during a TikTok live session while discussing his personal journey with friends. Flavour said the habit started after he lost his virginity and later stopped seeing the woman involved. He explained that things became worse after a friend introduced him to Mapoka dance video from Congo. According to the singer, the addiction left him embarrassed and uncomfortable around people, making it difficult for him to interact freely with friends. The singer said he first sought spiritual help from his mother's pastor, who advised him to fast and pray for 21 days, but the habit returned shortly after. Flavour said that later discussed the issue with a bassist who took him to a brothel, and he eventually began visiting weekly. He claimed that the experience helped him overcome the addiction and move on with his life. That is CEMTV News at 7, but before we go, a quick recap of the major stories. We started off by informing you that the FCT Minister Wike has revealed reason behind preventing Governor Fubara from seeking re-election. We informed you that President Tinubu has commissioned Africa's first renewable energy college in Kogi. We also told you that Nigerian Customs Service have begun the annual recruitment of secured jobs. On the foreign scene, Zimbabwe has mourned mother and daughters killed in the UK. Many thanks for watching CEMTV News at 7. Do ensure to follow us via our social media handles at CEMTVPLUS across X, Facebook, Thread, and Instagram. We're also available on Nicomsat channel. Do well to follow us on Free to Air. I am Miracle Wobo. Do have a lovely day and bye for now.